Hello, and we're back again at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 121. My name's Annaschmidt, and I'm here every week, yes, every week, to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. Well, at least I think they don't. Today, you're going to hear my internal debate about the perils and the safety of tapping into the unknown through using communication methods such as table tipping versus Ouija boards. Now, I've used both. And do they open treacherous doorways into other realms and realities? Well, you'll get to make up your own mind today. Are they just a bit of fun, or are they downright dangerous? Now, all forms of divination opens energetic doorways. You can call them portals, you can call them gateways or vortexes, whatever word you want to use. It's still an energetic doorway. Now, these doorways, they have different levels of connection depending on what your intention is and what your attention is and what the activity is at the time. And also the location. People don't talk about the locations. The locations can play a key part as well. Now, I work from my little home here in Tasmania at the bottom of the world, and I use pendulums every single day for my energy clearing work. I mean, I might use a pendulum for 6 to 8 hours a day. Am I working in a home riddled with portals? No. It is purely an external focus point for me outside my body that helps me connect to my spiritual helpers. So are table tipping and Ouija boards similar? This is what we're going to look at today. Now, sometimes when I do use my pendulum, we are going to get on to table tipping and Ouija boards very, very soon, so hang in there. But sometimes when I do use my pendulum, I know how it swings. I know the speed it swings and the intensity. If that changes, or one day my pendulum, which is normally clockwise circle, which is a yes, went anti-clockwise, and I'm like, who's using my pendulum? So you've always got to be careful when you use any form of divination. So today we're focusing on table tipping and Ouija boards. We're going to look at the similarities, the differences, and how entities can use them to get into our environment. Or are they already in our environment and they're just getting closer to people? Because these methods of communication are a type of invitation, and we're going to be talking about the invitation. Both methods can connect you with energy beings of varying types and levels of positivity, neutrality, and negative intentions. As we all know, Ouija boards have a very negative reputation. And on more than one occasion, I have shared my negative at-home experiences that I had with a homemade Ouija board, which was simply a piece of laminated board that you would build your kitchen out of. And I wrote on a piece of contact on top of it with whiteboard marker, so I could wipe it off afterwards. Very sneaky of me. And then I would put it away. Did I open the portals? My wordy do, I did. Did I close them? Absolutely not. Now, the issues that I had, I'm not sure if it was connected to my paranormal addiction, which has always been there, or whether it was that I was starting to do the energy work. I was starting to show an interest in going into people's homes. Sometimes these entities can be very defensive, and at the time I would have classed myself as a newbie. And the demonic entities, they love what I call fresh meat. It's my funny little term that I use for people who are inexperienced with doing energy work. When you're dealing with house healing, house clearing, property clearing, these beings are in properties all the time for lots of different reasons. And if you listen to this podcast often enough, you would know why they're there. Now, I haven't had any detrimental interactions with anything following me home after doing table tipping. And the people that I've done the sessions with have reported the same. So the nature of Ouija boards carries a different vibration They both come from the late 1800s, but Ouija boards tend to have a little bit more superstition. The lower vibration that Ouija boards can put out attracts the darker entities. Or is it our expectation that something negative will happen that's going to influence the outcome? Because remember, everything is intention. And if you've listened to enough people talk about their Ouija board experiences, and you have someone offer you a session with one, you're instantly going to go into panic and negative mode. I don't use them anymore. I just find that my paranormal addiction triggers the dark entities come to me more than normally. So it's like, no, that method is not for me. And it's okay to step away from it and say, no, thank you, that is not for me. Now, people do use Ouija boards to intentionally connect to the spirits of past loved ones. But, this is the big but, does the person's grief attract the dark entities through the board? Are you talking to your past loved one, or are you talking to something that's pretending to be your past loved one because they can sense the vibration of grief in you? We're going to expand on all this. Like seriously, the possibilities are endless when it comes to talking about the paranormal world. No one knows everything about it. Everything I share with you is from my experiences, with my personal experiences and client-based experiences. So I have a broad understanding, but no one knows everything. So you really do need to tread carefully. The more I think about it, oh my gosh, the more I think about spirit communication and table tipping, Ouija boards, it just opens up a big can of worms in my brain. And like there's an overflow of more and more questions and possibilities, because that's just the way my brain works. I can't answer a simple question. I have to unpack it. So let's look at the intention of the session. How I look at intention with any type of spiritual divination or communication method or process, whatever you want to call it, it all comes down to what you want, what you expect, what you've already got in your mind about how the session is going to go. And your awareness, because you've really got to be aware of the safety and what happens during the session. When you're working with the paranormal world, the spirit world, the energy world, it's all the same thing. Well, it is the same thing, but it's not. It's all different varying layers of vibrations. You've just got to be really, really careful. It is not a game. It is not something to do when you're high on drugs and you're pissed out of your brain with alcohol, because you really are going to get yourself into big trouble. And one important thing to do is, if you know the people that you're doing the session with, that's what I find works really well. You know the people, you have a good sense of their level of mental and emotional vulnerability, because this can greatly determine the direction that the session takes. Are these people genuinely wanting to communicate with the spirits? Or do they want to taunt them? Do they want to sit in ego and be arrogant and be disrespectful? Have they had a really hard time lately? Someone's passed away, or they've lost their job, or they're going through a divorce and they've got lots of trauma, lots of mental and emotional instability. They've got depression. When you've got all this going on, it is not a good time to be doing any type of spiritual divination or spiritual connection, because these entities can read our energy. Like, they know I'm talking about them now. I get cold waves of energy, and I am sitting in a room next to a window, but the window's locked. It's a tiny room. The door is shut. There are no drafts. So where have the sudden cold wafting energy come from? Where are the dark sparkles that I see in the corner of the room coming from? They are always listening, and they read you like a book. So if you're going into a place and you're like, right, I'm going to really upset this table tipping session and let's see what happens, they are going to disrupt the session, or they're going to affect that person, depending on their vulnerability, how they cope with this sort of thing. Some people are, it's like they're wearing a suit of armour and everything just pings off them. Other people absorb it and it goes straight to their chakras, meridian lines, their brain, their consciousness. They don't feel well. We're going to talk about that too. So you can't trick these entities, and you can't disguise your objectives. So always go into doing any type of spiritual divination, whether it's cards, pendulums, Ouija boards, table tipping, spirit box sessions, paranormal investigation, which I absolutely love. You've got to go into it being you, being genuine, being authentic, having an interest in the energy in the buildings and the places you're going to, not having a preconceived outcome. Because a lot of the time, I'm getting sidetracked just for a second, I watch a lot of paranormal investigations on YouTube, and a lot of the time people don't get any interactions. And one is because the people that are doing the investigations are in ego, and it's all about their likes and their subscribers and all that, or they're taunting them, or they don't know these people. And you can't expect someone, even in spirit form, that doesn't know you to come out and to be all happy and lovely and friendly and chatty. Some people are, most people aren't. They need to get to know you first. So let's get back on track. Now, careless people can really bring negative results. As some people just want to connect to something dark and demonic. Now, I'm not going to get on my soapbox. I did start to, but I got off it pretty quick. And their thoughts create that vibration, and they invite the entities to them. And yes, there's always more than one. Never think you're going to go into a dark place that's supposedly demonically haunted and there's going to be one demon there. Sorry, doesn't work that way. If there's a home, there's been lots of murder, lots of suicide, lots of bloodshed. Bloodshed really creates a very strong vibration. It's not going to be one. You might be looking at 5, 10. Who knows? I'm just estimating. But I know it because I've seen it, I felt it, I'm talking from experience. So there's certain ways that you can communicate to get the ball rolling. Now, one thing that I've observed, like this really does make me, I'm waving my arms now going, oh my God, why do people do this? One thing I've observed is to never say, is anybody out there? Because you are going to get anybody and anything, more likely anything, that is wafting around in the environment, just looking for someone to connect to come through this doorway. Any type of entity that is lurking in the vicinity will come to your session. I don't know how they hear us. It is maybe the vibration we're putting out. Maybe they see us with all our gadgets and our tools. Maybe they hang around in particular locations because people go there to do Ouija board sessions or to do table tipping sessions or satanic practices or whatever. And the beings are already there. A better choice of words would be, we would like to communicate with the spirits present in, and you say the name of the location. And if you're using table tipping, just for an example, you can introduce yourselves. You say, hi, my name's Anna. I really love the paranormal and I'd really like to learn about you, understand why you're here. If there's anything that you want to share with us, if you want to transition to the light, I can help you with that. That is something that I would say. But you could also say, if you would like to come and communicate, please come and move the table, knock on the table, tip the table, vibrate the table to let us know that you're here. Because we can't see you, we can't hear you or feel you. I'm talking about the general population here. So people need a tangible something. This is where they go to the table tipping, they go to the Ouija boards, because they see something move, even though a human has got their hands on it. And there's always that skepticism about, oh, the people are moving it. That's a possibility, but quite often it isn't. It just depends where your brain goes with all this. Never say, you can use my energy. That is a big no-no. That's like inviting a vampire into your house, you're a goner. I know I'm exaggerating here. But you never say you can use my energy because they're going to use your energy anyway, but you don't give them the invite. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. Because if you're verbalizing permission for something to connect to your energy, if you're not energetically protected, like I've got like 10 layers of protection for a particular reason, and if you're mentally and emotionally vulnerable, like they're rubbing their little hands together going, I'm having that one and you can have that one, and in they go, and they get into your person. They affect your thinking, your sleeping, your behavioural reactions, depending on who you are and what your mental state is like. It really does create a big mess. You've got to be careful with the wording. There's a man that I watch on YouTube. I'm not going to name names. It's not about naming and shaming, but a lot of paranormal investigators do this. They say, you can come and connect with me or use my energy, or they say both. You do never give verbal permission. It's different. It doesn't seem to work with your thoughts. I've experimented with this. This is how I know this works. I can think something as in permission. It doesn't happen. But you verbalize it, the words create a strong vibration. And these beings, like these tricky ones that just want to feed off people, they will get close and they will do their thing. Now, there was a man, I started to say this, there was a man that did this. And he said, you can come and connect with me and use my energy. And over the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes, this man started to look a little bit ill. And his speech changed. He was wiping his brow, like it was the middle of winter in the US somewhere. And he was wiping his brow. He's like, geez, I'm really hot. I don't feel well. I think I'm coming down with a cold. He was absolutely fine for the 45 minutes, half an hour of the video before that. Yes, it may be a medical illness. Possibly not. You know, you've got to be aware of what you're saying when you do these things. It is not a game. These entities are real. You have to respect them, and you have to go into this with a sense of intention, attention, awareness, and protection, which we're going to talk about now. Creating energetic protection before you start any session is highly recommended. I don't have to create protection anymore when I do anything energetic because I am fully protected, 10 layers, or it could be 15 layers by now. I just kept adding to it. But if I'm running a session with people, I bring in the big guns. I bring in Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Metatron, Uriel, whoever wants to come, we create the space. I work with the angelic beings. You can work with whoever it is you believe in. They work for me, and their energy is powerful, and I've had people see them when I haven't told people that they were there. Now, being unwell, like we started to talk about earlier, being unwell leaves you very, very vulnerable to energetic attachment. And believe me, it does happen. I see it in clients all the time. We're not going to talk about protection in this episode because back in episode 93, I did a whole in-depth episode talking about all the different types of protection I use and things that you can use, just some ideas to get you started. You take the idea, you add your own ideas, you make it yours. Okay, so let's look at the location. People quite often will pick up the Ouija boards or get their table tipping table or whatever method they're using and away they go. They don't look at the space that they're working in. They're thinking, oh yeah, let's go and do a session in this house where 5 people died from some axe murderer that killed his whole family. Now to me, that just makes me feel sick in the stomach to start with. Number 1, the spirits there are traumatised. Number 2, the house is traumatised. The whole place is full of murder and sadness and anxiety and bloodshed, which creates a strong vibration. So what's going to be there? Probably 5, 10, 15, 20 demonic entities just waiting for silly people to go in there and say, please come and talk to me. Is there anyone there? So look at your location. If you do any type of divination in homes or old abandoned buildings, like I just said, sometimes they're known for demonic presence. You see it on YouTube all the time. It's what people do. They go there because they want the reactions. I mean, I could pull out my spirit box right now, which I might do one day in an episode, and you can hear voices coming through it. Actually, that's a really good idea. I'm going to take note of that, and I'm going to do that one day. So you can hear a live recorded spirit box session. You talk about them, they come. They're only observing. They're not interacting with me because I have not given them permission. They're simply observing. That is the spirits, the dark, and the demonic entities. But if you go into a place, like I said, with there's lots of demonic presence, then they're just going to gate crash your session because they're used to people rocking up to that location for scary paranormal happenings. And they're just going to get ready and give you the frights that you expect. That's how it works. It is just how it works. Now, table tipping. But this is something that not a lot of people know about. Ouija boards have quite a long history. A lot of people talk about it, a lot of the negative stuff, lots of videos on it on YouTube and Instagram and wherever. Lots of movies. No one talks about table tipping. I was introduced to table tipping when I worked as a paranormal tour guide, and I fell in love with it instantly. And I have to say that table tipping next to my spirit box is my favourite physical or tangible communication method for communication with spirits in the environment. Back in the Victorian times, it used to be called table tilting or table turning. Back in that era, it was really a favoured parlour trick that many people used because it was a tangible form of seeing someone in the room that you can't see with your eyes or hear with your ears, or you might be able to feel them, but your brain doesn't comprehend it because you can't see them. Now, the spirits at the site where I learnt about table tipping, they loved it because the lady that ran the tours had been doing it for a long time. The spirits there knew the process, knew how it worked. They would get on it straight away, like they would be there. And we'd have lots of tour guests that were, slightly mouths open, wide-eyed, like, is this real? How does this even work? We're going to look at now, which I've already kind of talked about a little bit. Some people will be going, what a load of utter rubbish. Now, I can deal with skeptics. I'm okay with that. Everyone has their own opinion and their own way of thinking about it. But I'm not going to share something with you that isn't real. It's a waste of my time to do all the recording, all the editing. For me, it's not about numbers or subscribers or any of that stuff. I don't even look at any of that. It's about sharing real, relevant information. So most people acknowledge that there are spirits in the environment. Spirits are purely energy, soul energy without the physical bodies. Their energy can be used to move things around in the environment once they learn how to do it. Anyone that's seen the movie Ghost, Patrick Swayze had to learn how to push that little bottle cap down in the underground train station. You had that spirit man showed him, that angry spirit man showed him, this is how you do it. You put all your emotions into it, which is what I think he said. So spirits have to learn how to do it. Now, their energy, sometimes they will tap into us, which is probably not a good word. They may lay a hand on your hand, or they'll touch your elbow when you're doing the table tipping. Now, they're not getting into your body. You're not doing trance mediumship. They're simply putting their hand on your hand, which is what I find usually happens for me. I feel something cool sort of waft over the top of my hand. It doesn't even have to touch your hand physically, because if they are anywhere within sort of 50 centimetres close to you, they're in your energy field anyway. It just is what it is. We're always sitting in other people's energy fields, which is kind of creepy to think about, so we're not going to go down that track. But it's just how it works. So we are like batteries to them. Sometimes we feel a bit tired. I get hungry and very hypo after doing spiritual work. Like you can hear me talking about it now. I am very, very high talking about this because it just sends me off into my paranormal addiction. I love what I'm talking about. I get hungry, I get very high, and it takes me a while to come down, whereas other people get tired and sleepy and they just want to go to bed. Now, spirits, as you'll see in a lot of paranormal investigations, they drain the batteries in the equipment. I've also seen a REM pod that has had a brand new 9-volt battery put in it because I put it there myself, and within an hour or 2 hours, totally flat. And we're like, what's going on? Because they trigger the object and they use the battery energy. I mean, that's what we're putting it there for. So we're not complaining. It's just like, batteries are flat again. So when setting up for table tipping, like I've just said, sometimes I feel that gentle wafting hand laying on one of my hands. And my hands are just gently laying on top of the table. I'm not pushing. People go, oh, you're pushing the table. I'm like, come and feel my hands. They're just like limp hands just sitting on the table. My shoulders are totally limp. If I'm going to be pushing something, my shoulders are going to be up slightly and I'm going to be making forward movements. Observers often think that we're moving the table. I've had people that have never seen this before, and I've had 3 people around this table, and they're like, oh, you're just moving it. If you think about it, if you've got 3 or 4 people sitting around a tiny table, and we haven't communicated beforehand, I'm going to wink twice and then we're going to move the table to the left and all this BS. It takes way too much mucking around to be bothered doing any of that fake crap. You literally lay your hands on the table and you sit there and you say, I would like to invite the spirits in the environment to please come and connect with this table. Hear my wording. Connect with this table. Use this table to show us that you're here. Tip it, turn it, tilt it, vibrate it, have a bit of fun with it. So my wording I give you is just an example, but you've got to be careful the words. Words create a vibration. Now I want to give you an example about table tipping. A friend and I did some table tipping on her property one day. This is in an old hut that had been there for, 50, 60, 70 years possibly. And it would put aside for seasonal pickers on this farm. Now, every time I go to this poor lady's house, you'll know Laura. Laura's been on quite a few of my episodes. I go to Laura's house. Spirits always come to Laura's house. It's like I've got this beacon beaming out of my head, which I just don't turn off because I can't be bothered and there's just no point. There's just no point. So we're sitting there ready to watch a movie and all of a sudden the room gets really cold. One day she had the fire going and the heat pump on 26. Now that would normally kill me because I don't like hot temperatures. I just don't cope on anything more than 17 on my heat pump. And we had blankets on our knee because we'd sat down to watch this movie and it got really, really cold. And we're looking at each other going, oh, the spirit's here. So we watched our movie, had our lunch. The spirits watched the movie with us. Then we went down to this picker's hut and we thought, we'll take the spirits out of the house. Because if you start doing stuff in your home, it's like that beacon I just talked about in me. The beacon's going to be attached to your house. And it's just pumping out that vibe and you're going to end up with lots of spirits in your home all the time. Making noise, shutting doors, poking you, playing with your eyelids, patting you on the head when you're trying to go to sleep. It's just too much. Now, we had this table tipping table that I put together. It's quite funny. I got the table top from an opportunity shop and I got the legs from the side of the road. It's one of those tables that has a single stem. It's a wooden single stem with 3 feet and I bought a wooden top. It was quite lovely. I painted it black and I varnished it and I was really excited to use it with someone because you can do table tipping by yourself. But I like to do it with people. Like we have fun, we laugh, the spirits love it. It's just like having a party. Anyway, we were down in this hut and we went into the back room. There's only 2 rooms, the bedroom and then the sort of kitchen and where they had the fireplace where you could do your cooking and eat your dinner and stuff. Now, we had no expectations of who would be there. We simply went down there open-minded. Well, you're not going to believe this. Like, I can't share personal details, but it was just amazing. We thought it would just be random roaming spirits. And we're sitting there and we had our hands just resting on top of this table. It was on a level floor. And I said to Laura, she'd never done this before. I'd done it a few times. And we just sat. We both got good protection, so we didn't need to activate anything. We're both very protected. We opened the space. We said to the spirits, if you would like to come and speak to us through this table, any spirits in the vicinity, please come and use this table. You can tip it left for yes and right for no. We just gave them that idea. Well, they often have their own ideas how to do it. It's quite funny. I do love it. It just gives me it puts a smile on my face. It's really, really lovely. So we're sitting there and we've got our hands just sitting on the table. Now, some people do table tipping with like the point of your finger. The tip of your finger is what I'm trying to say. I was taught to do it with my hands, just flat palms, just resting on the table. No pressure, nothing. Now, I've seen this done with tiny tables, which is what I've got, but I've also seen it done with massive, big plastic picnic type tables that I've seen move around rooms with 10 people with their hands on it. It's just so much fun. So we're just sitting there, the table started to move and it just vibrated slightly. Because you've got to remember, these spirits have not done this before. And before we started, Laura and I sat there and we kind of talked about it. We explained it to each other and we just talked about the whole process. And while we're talking, remember, the spirits are in the vicinity, they're listening. So they had an idea of what we expected and what they could do if they wanted to. So we just sat there, had our hands on the table, we just relaxed our shoulders and we just sat there looking at each other. And all of a sudden the table started to move. Now the movement was a slight shift. And I'm looking at her going, did you do that? And she's like, no. And she's the same for me. And I'm like, no. I mean, why would you fake it? It's just a waste of time. So we're sitting there and we observed what happened. And we just started asking questions. And it turned out that the spirits present, you're going to love this, the spirits present were some of the people that had worked on the property over the past years, over the past decades. It was just I was just blown away. Now, they kind of moved the table a little bit. We only did it for maybe 15, 20 minutes. They kind of shifted it on the floor. It did a slight spin, and then they'd have a little rest. And then sort of lifted a little bit. Spirits need to learn to do things just like people do. So Laura also did some spirit communication there with a spirit box on another day when I wasn't there. This was after our table tipping session. And she had some fascinatingly accurate information come through as to who the people are. Her husband, hubby was blown away. He's like, what? What are you talking about? Because he's kind of a believer, but he's not a believer. He just sort of sits on the fence. But when she said the information, it was like, wow. So there's a lot of spirits on that property that choose to be there. They loved the place and they liked using the table tipping. Laura's also done this with another friend and they just have a bit of a session with the spirits and they love using it. It must be an easy way for them to communicate because, like I said before, they have different levels of understanding about how this works. This question I get asked quite a lot. Can table tipping or Ouija boards be used to connect with spirits on the other side? This is people who have transitioned away from the earth into the afterlife, gone to heaven or wherever we go to. That I don't know. I honestly don't know because I mainly focus on what I call earthbound spirits. People that are still here. For whatever reason, they're just roaming around the earth doing their job, or they love their family, or they love their particular piece of furniture, and wherever the furniture goes, they go. They're the sort of spirits I deal with. You would need a medium. You would need a medium who specialised in contacting crossed over loved ones that may be able to answer that question. And if you are such a person who would like to contribute, you can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And I've also got that email address in the description box. So closing the space. Closing the space is important. Because when you're finished, you have opened that invitation for the spirits to come and use the table. You've got to thank the spirits for communicating with you. That is of utmost importance. I see so many people in paranormal investigations wander into people's houses. They know there's spirits there because lots of people have been in there and done investigations. They don't knock. They don't ask permission to enter the space. They don't say thank you afterwards. Thank you for having me in your home. It's been lovely connecting with you. We may come and see you again if you would like that. Really, really important to treat spirits as living people. They just don't have the physical bodies. I'll get off my soapbox now. So you're closing the space. So I will sit there and I will say now that we're closing this spirit session, connecting with the spirits at wherever today, wherever the location was. Thank you for coming to play with the table. We had so much fun doing this with you. And then I will ask Archangel Raphael to please come now to clean, heal and seal all portals or energetic gateways that have been opened whilst using this table. And you could do the same with Ouija boards. I'm just using table tipping as my example. So you open the space, you close the space. And I always double check. I have my pendulum with me and I'll ask, is this space closed? And I'll wait for my yes signal. Are there any portals open? Any doorways? Any vortexes? And I'll just keep watching the no. And when I'm happy, I'll get up and move away from the space. So Ouija boards, oh my goodness, I don't even know if that's how you say it. It's such an unusual word, I can never get my mouth around it. Ouija boards are veiled in superstition. Like they seriously are. I get the shivers when I think about them from my negative experience 30-ish years ago. Oh, it's still in my head. I feel that people are superstitious about them and they have in their heads that expectation of negative happenings. Now, Ouija boards became a thing. It was a patented product. I think I said that right. Back in about 1891, I did look it up on Google. There was a man named OUIJA Bond who is a US inventor back in the day, the late 1800s. And he capitalised on this growth trend because everyone was into spiritualism, connecting with spirits on the other side, having seances, doing the table tipping and so forth. Everyone was doing it. So he must have had this idea in his brain. Let's make a board that you can write on. There are actually talking boards that go back to sort of ancient Egypt and, way, way, way back into the beyond. But this OUIJA Bond man, he was the one that patented the product as a parlour trick. They didn't see it as something that was very tangible. I mean, I suppose they opened and closed the session. I hope they did. Otherwise, there's going to be portals open all around the world from all different eras. But that being said, I've done energetic clearings on many a home where Ouija boards have been used for a bit of fun or a party trick. Someone just pulls it out. Everyone's a bit drunk. They're high on whatever. Let's just have a play with this. So they sit down and they say, is anybody there? You can hear it in my voice, can't you? Is anyone out there that wants to connect with us? And then they wait. And they might get freaked out or they might not get freaked out. The planchette might move, it might not move. Do they close it afterwards? Often when people are in altered mind states, think to close it up. They might just stick it under their coffee table and leave it there. And the door is open and it's pumping out that vibe. Well, the home's occupants or the place or the building or the workplace or wherever they're doing this, the people that may live in that building, we'll say a home just for an example, the home's occupants are going to have things happen. Now the skeptics are going, oh, you're just putting ideas into people's heads, blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. I have energetically cleared homes where people haven't told me they've used Ouija boards. And I've gone, okay, so what happened in the lounge room approximately 15 years ago? And I know the people have been there for 25 years. And they go, well, when I was in my 20s, we did a couple of Ouija board sessions. And I went, aha. Now, I never judge people, never, ever, ever. I don't want them to feel bad. I want them to learn from the experience. I just want them to learn and understand how it works. So these people, a lot of them have had issues with they can't sleep, they're having nightmares, they're arguing with their partner when they don't normally argue, the dog won't come in the house, the dog's vomiting, the dog's biting people. It's normally placid, very old, doesn't move very much. Well, it's not happy. The kids are arguing, they're fighting, they can't sleep, everything just goes to shite. Now, once I get in there and I go through and I clean out all the negative energy, any entities that might be there and all of the vibrations from, I call it black magic, spells and curses, but that's the term I use for all magic energy in homes. Once I've cleared that all out, and once you remove all that and close the portals, remove any emotional imprints and so forth, the demonic beings go, ugh, I just want to be here. I'm just going to go. They get a bit annoyed because they've been evicted, but it's just too bad. I've been employed to professionally clear this home, and I always say that to them. I've been employed to do this. You respect me, I'll respect you. You just need to go somewhere else. That's all it is. I don't kill them, hurt them, harm them. That just gets repercussions. We're not talking about that today. Once all that energy is removed, give the house maybe 2, 3, 4 days to settle, to cleanse. I get the archangels in there. They do a full cleanse. People's homes get back to normal. Their lives get back to normal. And they never, ever use Ouija boards again. Now, I always give this example, and I'm going to do it again today. The movie Veronica. It just says it all. It says it all. I have watched it maybe, I don't know, 12, 15 times. And it's not for the thrill of seeing what happens. It's to learn and understand and observe. Now, no, it is a movie, but it is based on a true life case. It is a classic demonstration of demonic manipulation and attachment to a grief-stricken teenager. It really was quite sad because I knew how it ended and I could see the downward slide this girl was on. It was just truly traumatic. The movie is not full of bloodshed and lots of gore. It is a psychological thriller, so I'm just warning you about that. Look it up on IMBD or whatever it's called beforehand, just to make sure it's suitable for you. But I always say to people, go and watch Veronica before you want to use a Ouija board. Because the movie's based, like I said, on a true encounter of a teenage girl looking to talk to her father who died suddenly. The girl's life was turned upside down. I'm not going to tell you the storyline because you'll see it unfold if you watched it. She missed him so much that she went and used a Ouija board with some friends. And the entity or entities that came through attached to her because she was the vulnerable one. And she got into a whole heap of trouble. It eventually took her life. I'm going to tell you that now. Because if you're thinking of using Ouija boards, I really do strongly suggest that you watch Veronica. And no, I need to think about my wording that I just said. Using a Ouija board is not going to take your life. But if people are vulnerable and they've got a weakened mental and emotional and possibly physical state, entities that attach to you are going to trigger you to feed off what you create. So they triggered her to create more grief, more paranoia, more anxiety. You just see it come out in the movie. And she eventually died. And the police people that found her, that's a whole other story again. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to ruin it. Now, there's no graphic violence, like I just said, but just be aware of the ending about the last 5 minutes or so, because it might be triggering or traumatizing for some people. Now we're coming to the end of this session today. We have had a table tipping Ouija board divination learning session. No portals created today. Is either one of these divination methods safer than the other? I can't definitively say 100%. We as humans, we can't know everything about how the energy world works. We just can't. So all I can say is be careful, be aware, be sensible. Set the intention about what you want to do with words that you say out loud, because you are creating the space. And also do some research about the locations before putting your intentions into connecting with unseen forces in places that might be riddled with trauma or sadness or death, because death and bloodshed create a big vibration. I know, because I've got to clear it out of homes energetically. And we all know what is attracted to those vibrations. So in episode 122, you're going to learn how to recognize the sometimes weird and strange ways that your eyes can see spirits, and also the dark and the demonic entities. And we're not just talking like full-bodied apparitions, even though they do show up that way sometimes. I have a lot of examples for you of other ways that the disembodied souls in our environment can present themselves. So stay tuned for next week's rather unusual unveiling of spooky appearances, and I look forward to spending time with you then. If you like the content of this episode today, please think about leaving me a rating and a review. What reviews do is they let other people know your thoughts about my supernatural subject matter. People love reading reviews, and we're spreading the word about the real paranormal world around us. I would really appreciate it. So thank you for joining me today, and don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.